All right, let's look at parallel and perpendicular lines. Turns out that two non-vertical lines are parallel if and only if their slopes are equal. Okay, so here's an example of what we're talking about. Find the slopes of the lines between the points. 1, 4. So I'm going to go out 1, up 4. That's right there. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 1, 4. And 3, 9 is the other point for this line. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so here's this line right here. And that's going through 1, 4, 3, 9, and negative 3, negative 2. So I go back 3, down 2. I'll do this one in green. And negative 1, 3. So that's, let's see, negative 1 and then up 3. 1, 2, 3. And if I draw that one, you'll notice that these lines do not touch. They are parallel. They have the same slope. What's the slope of the first line? I'll go back to red. Let's see, the slope of the first line is 9 minus 4 over 3 minus 1, which is 5/2, and the slope of the green line is 3 minus negative 2 over negative 1 minus negative 1 minus negative 3. Okay, 3 minus negative 2 is positive 5, and 1 plus 3 is 2. So both slopes are 5/2. That's why they never touch each other. All right, it turns out that two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if the product of their slopes is negative 1. In other words, their slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. So if the equation of a line is y equals 2x plus 5, what is the slope of a line perpendicular to it? Well, this is in y equals mx plus b form, where that number in front of x is the slope of this line. So our slope is 2, which means that our perpendicular slope will be the opposite reciprocal. So that means it's negative 1 over 2. So any line that has a slope of negative 1/2 will be perpendicular to this line because their slopes will be opposite reciprocals. All right, use slopes to show that a quadrilateral with vertices A at negative 2, 7, B at 3, 7, C at 6, 11, and D at 1, 11 is a parallelogram. Okay, so let's get the slope of each side. So the slope from A to B is going to be 7 minus 7 over 3 minus negative 2, which is 0. And the slope of B to C is 11 minus 7 over 6 minus 3, which is 4 over 3. The slope of C to D is 11 minus 11 over 1 minus 6, which is 0. And the slope from A to D is 11 minus 7 over 1 minus negative 2. That is 4 over 3. Now look, these two slopes are the same. That means AB is parallel to CD, and these two slopes are the same, which means that BC is parallel to AD. Since both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, ABCD is a parallelogram. And our last example, we're going to find the slope of each side of this triangle and then each altitude. Okay, so the slope of side AB is negative 3 minus 4 over negative 1 minus 1, which is negative 7 over negative 2, which is 7/2. The slope of BC is negative 5 minus negative 3 over 4 minus negative 1, which is negative 2 over 5. And the slope of AC is negative 5 minus 4 over 4 minus 1, which is negative 9 over 3, which is negative 3. Okay, so how about the slopes of the altitudes? Well, an altitude to a side is perpendicular to that side. So that means that the slope of this altitude is negative 2/7, the opposite reciprocal of 7/2. The slope of this altitude is positive 5/2, the opposite reciprocal of negative 2/5, and the slope of this altitude is positive 1/3.